Hello and welcome to third and the last lecture in chapter 16 of our comprehensive course on AI, machine learning and data science. Now, in previous lecture, we had done this sns.regplot for plotting a regression line and at sns.lmplot, which also as such plots a regression line only, but which divides the regression line for each category on three facets. If I quickly want to recreate the plot just for the sake of recalling, we started with iris dataset and we created one this kind of sns.reg plot, regression plot. Okay, and similarly we created then sns.ln plot, linear model plot. Please remember these are important plots, and in usual ADA of many good tutorials or even many books, you will not find them included. So, and of course no tutorial can include everything. They expect that when one option is taught to this person, then he will use that standard method sns dot and put a question mark or res character, and he will explore what options are available to me. So you have options like line plot, scatter plot, box plot, violin plot, then that swarm plot, then other was that Christmas tree light, that was street plot. Okay, so these are various different plots available to you. Similarly, you can have sns.reg plot and sns.lm plot. Okay, and lm plot with lm plot, if you don't write this, just write this way. Suppose I do not write this, column is equal to species. Then let us see what happens. Is it able to do it? So it will plot the reg plot only. That is actually it is the same plot, just the scale is a little bit compressed. That's why it is looking different. That means I'm saying that it is the same plot horizontally compressed or pushed left right dimension or width is reduced. That is all. Otherwise it is the same plot, and it is trying to show the three species, but cannot show. And just add one thing. So an lm plot without that call is equal to species. That is just like reg plot. Okay, but an lm plot with call equals to species, call means column, then it will plot the regression plot for the three species on three different columns, like this kind of case, right? So one will be for setosa, one will be the regression plot for versicolor, and one will be the regression plot for virginica, correct? Now then here, for example, now here it is given that you are supposed to plot multivariable analysis using facet grid and the pair plot, right? So here we want to do two things. One, facet grid, and another is pair plot. Now facet plot as such, here also this lm plot automatically creates facet, but you can explicitly first create a grid object and you can customize it more. So this is the example of that. First two lines are standard, import the necessary libraries and load the data set. Okay, so this much I am taking to the next cell, and okay, so my iris data set is loaded. Now here this G is equal to sns.facet grid of which data set? Then iris data set. Column is equal to species. So again it is like that lm plot, that you are going to plot each species on a different column. So there will be three graphs, even though the data set is only one for setosa, one for virginica, and another for versicolor. And U is also equal to species. So we are specifying this so that you get a different color for each plot. Okay, so species wise change the color. That is what. All these are okay. Margin title is equal to true and height is equal to 4. Even if you don't write them, then it will adjust. And what this is just creating the grid. Okay, let us see. Suppose I don't do this much. I take that on the next line, and here I just plot write G and see what is G. Then you will see this kind of three grids are created, but nothing more than that. You have created a grid object in which first column is reserved now for setosa, next is for versicolor, next is for virginica, and it shows G output also shows at which memory location the G is stored. Okay, now here G dot map. So in your grid, with your grid, you are using map function. Okay, and if you remember, we have done apply and map earlier also. So this is one specific use case of that map. In that map, we this time take plt.scatter. I could have taken plt.reg plot also, but here I am taking plt.scatter. So what I will get here, I will get a scatter plot on this, a scatter plot on this, and a scatter plot on this. Scatter plot of what versus what? That is given here. First variable is x, petal length. So this will have petal length of setosa, this will have petal length of versicolor, and this will have petal length for virginica. Y variable gives petal width. So y-axis will give petal width for the three species, and each column will show one scatter plot, and then we will add legend, and then g.figure.subtitle. Subtitle is important to remember. Okay, so that will give scatter plot for petal length versus petal width by species, and subplots.adjust top is equal to 0.85. That is just so that the plots are not exactly matching the border line. Some margin is left from the top. So if I draw them, then now my empty grid which was created, that is now filled with three scatter plots. So petal width versus petal length, this is also petal width versus petal length, and this is also petal width versus petal length, but all three are for three different species. And here legend is also shown by species separately, and hue equals species also we have written. So as a result, it will give me the three different species scatter plot in three different colors. Let me just change this slightly, and instead of plt.scatter, can I write plt.reg plot? Then yes, I can write. It will create that kind of LM plot only, this which we had plotted, but multicolor, and in fact it will be better, okay, in appearance. So if I plot this way, okay, matplotlib.pyplot has no argument. Oh, you are using plt, right? So I think write maybe sns.regplot, perhaps. I think I should be able to do. Let me try. No, it just gives figure size of this to this. Then okay, whatever are available for that is matplotlib. So for plt we use the scatter, we can use hist. Okay, so then hist is available. What is means must increase monotonically when, okay, so histogram is, it tries to plot the histogram, but it is not able to plot it. And then box, let me try. So color is not extra argument, unexpected keyword argument. That is okay, fine. So leave it at scatter only. But that is how you should try. It is not that, and in fact you can see that you are getting much nice LN plot by using this method, okay, compared to the previous one which was unicolor. This is now multicolor. Now I am putting this both back here, and now I am just executing this once. Fine. This I am deleting. Fine. Now this is the explanation which I have done. And pair plots. Now pair plot also we have done earlier. So we know that pair plot is nothing but a combination of univariate and bivariate both analysis. Wherever it is pair plot of two same variables, at that time it will give me the histogram or the distribution plot, and that is KDE plot. And if it is two different variables and pairs are made of two different features, so it will give me scatter plot. Now pair plot takes a lot of time, and here I am using only directly whole data set, hue equals the species. So that means I need my pair plot in such a manner that the three species are shown by three different colors, and markers is equal to OSD. So that means for first species use this oval as a marker, second you use S as a marker, square, and for third you use diamond as a marker. And let us plot it. Pair plot will take time, particularly with color. Okay, so this is the sepal length versus sepal length, and therefore it is a univariate analysis. However, this is, you can see that instead of plotting three different KDE plot, for one for setosa, one for virginica, and one for versicolor, I can just get one KDE plot for sepal length. So it seems that sepal length is very almost nearly Gaussian distribution. The sepal width is also almost nearly Gaussian distribution. This is also nice Gaussian distribution, and this is also nice Gaussian distribution. A little bit distortion is seen here on this side, and similarly a little bit distortion is seen here on this side, but that is okay. And each scatter plot, three scatter plots are there. Now this is not much useful, that you can see, because the points are overlapping. Though you have given different color and different markers, but still the points are overlapping. But still, if you have a habit of looking this multi-category scatter plots on one graph paper, then you can easily understand that the orange color shows the variation of sepal length versus sepal width for versicolor. So this is orange scatter plot. The green scatter plot shows the variation of sepal length versus sepal width for virginica, and this scatter plot that shows the sepal length versus sepal width for setosa. Okay, so that gives different graphs. Now this is pair plot, and explanation is given what facet grid does and when to use it. So facet grid is best for customizing the layout and the type of the plot zone. A very good example I showed here only, that instead of writing LN plot, it will just give me same color for all three species. If I first create a grid object and then customize that grid object, then I can, by hue equals a species and column equals species, then I can get a multicolor and better, more customized plot. Okay, so when customization is required, then facet grid object is always beneficial. Then other thing is that if you want specific control over each facet, for example, one facet needs blue, another needs green, another needs orange, or maybe for one facet the points should be shown by this square, for another they should be shown by oval, and for another facet they should be shown by diamond, like that. Okay, then you will use facet grid. So important thing is to remember is that facet grid comes into picture only when you have multiple categories and you want to plot all of them by same lines of code. Okay, so multiple categories, but you don't want to mix them like this. So instead of this kind of plot, these scatter plots are much better, that you can see, right? Because here each is separate, correct? Okay, now that means each is on its own facet. And pair plot is for a quick high view overview of entire data set and its relationships, especially in the early stages of the analysis for getting a quick sense of data. So this is pair plot should be plotted at the early stages. The reason is that it is a combination of univariate and bivariate both. So this is univariate sepal length distribution, this is sepal width distribution, this is petal length distribution, and this is petal width distribution for all three species on same graph paper. And these are bivariate sepal length versus petal length, petal sepal width for this all three species. Again, this is sepal length versus petal length for all three species, and this is sepal length versus the petal width for all three species. So actually speaking, our data set was like this. If you remember the data set, then it was like this. So from this, how many combinations can be made? Forget about the species. Species are shown by 3 colors on my pair plot. Okay, but how many combinations can be made? So as I earlier also said that you can take first and second, then first and third, and first and fourth. So 3 combinations are there. Then second and first, but that is already included, so you have to exclude that second and third and second and fourth. So 2 more combinations. Then third and first, but that is already included. Third and second, but that was also included in second and third, so that is fine, and so on. So that way all possible combinations are there, and they are all included. Petal width versus sepal length, or petal length versus sepal length, petal length versus sepal width, all possible combinations, and their scatter plots are displayed here. Okay, so pair plots are quick way of getting a sense of entire data, and no analysis is complete without a pair plot. Okay, now this is just one another data set we are taking from Seaborn library only, SNS only, because I told you that Seaborn has at least 20 different data sets, and at the bottom of this discussion, just before exercise, I have given detailed information about each data set, so that you should try different data sets, at least maybe 4 or 5 different data sets, and try same visualization, same line of code, but for a different data set. So now we load a data set called tips. Okay, so tips is this kind of data set. It has this many features. Total bill. Tip is the response variable. We want to predict the tip, sex or the gender of the customer, whether the customer is smoker or not, at which time the customer was present in the hotel, time, that is whether it was on which day he was present, weekday, and time, that is whether it was he was present for a lunch or for dinner, and size, that is size is how many people were present in the group. So this is a nice data set which aimed to study the behavior of customers who give the tip in a hotel, and it started with some hypothesis that maybe tip depends upon the total bill, and as total bill increases, then maybe tip amount increases. But here, first two observation at least do not show that way. Actually, total bill decreases, but the tip amount is increasing. Correct. Now, then next is that this what you say gender of the customer. So maybe females are giving more tip, or maybe males are giving more tip. So we want to check that hypothesis. Then smokers. So are smokers may be feeling guilty that they are smoking in the hotel, and in kind of mental compensation they are giving more tip. Okay, which day, whether it is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which day, because this is just head. If I put the entire data set, then it would be 244 rows, and you will see that observations are for Sunday, Saturday, Thursday, so many things. Okay, so on which day the waiters receive more tips, whether the dinner time or lunch time, does it make any difference in the data set, and whether the size of the group, whether the people who are alone and eating out at the hotel, they give less tip, but same person, when they arrive in a group of 2, that is mostly couples. Okay, somebody who with a fiancé or a wife. So whether in that condition the person is inclined to give more tip, at least from these 2 examples, it looks like that 2 people only are there, but the tip is substantial. No, this is total bill. Okay, so then, but in this case also, okay, looks like it is not much related, but group size is seems to be affecting the tip amount. 4 people came for lunch or dinner, then in that case more tip is received. So this type of study we want to do. In short, what is our data science problem? How the tip amount, which is my dependent variable y, is affected by total bill, gender, smoker or non-smoker, day, time, lunch or dinner, and size. Okay, and if I want to see actually what are the each parameters, that is that lunch or dinner, how do I know that there are only 2 parameters? Then we know that we can do by that describe, and I can write include is equal to all. So if I write include is equal to all, and then I will get the statistical description for both numeric variable and categorical variable. So I am getting that the total bill varies from minimum value of 3 rupees to maximum value of 50 rupees. Tip amount varies from minimum value of 1 rupees or dollar maybe, and maximum $10, and this size varies from minimum size of one person to maximum size of group is 6%. For categorical variable, interesting variable is this unique. So how many unique categories are there? Then in gender or sex, there are 2 categories, male and female. In smoker also there are 2 categories, smoker or non-smoker. Day has 4 categories. So that means it is, I think, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, like that. And time has only two categories, so dinner and lunch. So that way I can get a rough idea about my data set. Okay, but here I want to do the same thing visually. So I delete that. Okay, now initialize the facet grid. Whenever you want to do a lot of customization, so at that time you better do create initialize the grid object separately. So I will put this code in several parts just for understanding. Then later on I will put it again. Uh, okay, so this is my grid object, and if I write G1 here just to know what it is, then empty grid is created because I said column is equal to time. So time is only of two categories, lunch and dinner. So therefore one column is lunch and another column is dinner, but it is empty at present. So tips dataset, name of dataset is tips. Columns are time column in that dataset. Height and aspect ratio and all that, they are just okay. I mean, if you want to set, fine. If you don't set anything, then mostly whatever Seaborn sets by default, those things are perfectly all right. They are smaller. I just made aspect ratio 1.5, so to get the bigger picture, bigger diagram. Okay, now once grid object is initialized, then I can write grid g1 dot, and again there is no need to remember it. I can here only write g1 dot and then tab character. Then I will immediately know what things are available to me. I think here it is not being displayed, but perhaps it should be displayed actually. Yeah, here. So you can see with G1 what options are available that I can easily see here. Okay, so that is what it is. So one option is map data frame, and there you are using this plot, violin plot. Violin plot, so it requires X, Y, and hue. Okay, so legend, palette, they are all extra. If you don't specify, then by default SNS will try to adjust some aesthetic values for these variables. Okay, but X should be some numeric variable. So I am using day. Okay, or categorical variable, right? So day, and Y, that should be some numeric variable. So Y equals total bill. So that is this. So it will give a violin plot like this, and then swarm plot also. That also has one first X is categorical variable and Y is numeric variable. Some color is given just as a new amount. Then G1 dot set titles. So inside titles I am writing column name and I am writing distribution. Okay, so column name will be this dinner, sorry, lunch or dinner. They will be the column names, right? So let us try to show this plot first. I think initialization I have done, no? I think done. Okay, then it is not being displayed. Why? Because it should be. Okay, I think it was. Then G2 second and plt.show is here there, no? Then okay, let me put everything again back in same cell. Sometimes Jupyter gives this kind of strange behavior that certain code needs to be. Yeah, you can see here that this is first was violin plot and swarm plot are still not displayed. What is displayed is only this in the facet grid, the reg plot, that is a regression plot, and other thing what is displayed is the swarm plot is also not displayed. Why it is happening like that? Okay, maybe everything in one grid, everything in one cell of Jupyter. It should display. Yeah, I have put that G1. That was the problem. Okay, that G1 will have initialized this empty grid. I should clear it first, no? Otherwise, it will not display. Now it is showing perfectly. So it was not the reason is that not that I have to put everything in same cell, but the reason was that G1, which I had to show that empty grid is created like this, but I forgot to delete it. Okay, sorry. And yeah, you can see that this is the lunch. This is the violin plot and the swarm plot, and similarly. Violin plot here and the swarm plot, right? Day is on x-axis and total bill is on y-axis. So days are on x-axis, total bill is on y-axis, right? This is for lunch and this is for dinner. Now immediately a lot of things become clear from this. One is that on Friday, say on Thursday, for example, almost no observations are there for the dinner on Thursday. So that means hardly any customer came on Thursday for dinner. However, for lunch there were observations. On Saturday, Sunday, most of the people prefer to take their, not most, all of the people, customers of the hotel, they prefer to take their lunch at their home only. But same people, a large number of people remain present for dinner. So that means Saturday, Sunday evenings, that is more likely to fetch greater business to my hotel, correct? And then maybe Friday also, because from Friday in Western countries, the weekend starts. Saturday and Sunday both are off days. So Saturday, Friday dinner is also almost as much as the Saturday and Sunday dinner. Okay, compared to Friday lunch is not much. Okay, so this is what is clear from violin plot and swarm plot, and these are the lunch data set for regression plot and dinner data set regression plot. Now, this explanation is given here. Each line of code is explained that what each line is doing. So what to do now for that? Okay, let me. Okay, first few lines are very easy. Import libraries and load the data set. So that is at least these two lines, that import libraries and load the data set. For the other lines, I am again copying this so that everything remains in the vision. Okay, so now violin plot and swarm plot. So for that, initialize the facet grid where you are initializing these lines. Okay, you have to specify what you have to specify the data set. You have to specify what categorical variable you want to use in the two facets. Okay, so here I'm using time. Time means the I think time was lunch and dinner. Yeah. Okay. So time is lunch and dinner. Height and aspect are just to make the diagrams bigger. Then for violin plot, it is mapped. First violin plot is mapped on the grid. So map the violin plot on the grid. Okay, and SLS.violin plot. How to plot it? Then X day, Y bill, U equals day, and all these further parameters I want to highly customize it. Now you can understand the reason for initializing the grid object separately. As such, I can write this whole line of code here instead of initializing grid object separately. But you can see what messy that line will become. SNS dot facet grid tips column equals time height this, then map data frame SNS dot violin plot X. So very lengthy. So instead of that, we prefer that first let us initialize the grid object, empty grid object, and thereafter map our violin plot to the grid and map our swarm plot also to the same grid. Same grid is G1, okay, and display those plots. Then for the other plot, initialize for that is reg plot, regression plot, initialize another grid object that is G2 and take the data and define a function like this which plots the reg plot and then call that function. Okay, so map underscore data frame plot reg, that is this function is called. Okay, and the regression plots are the color is specified as blue, so blue will go here, right? And then so I can plot this much separately and that separately because earlier I said that they cannot be plotted, but that my mistake was I had written G1 here, and that G1 means an empty grid was created. So actually separately you can plot, and that would be better so that it is clear which code plots what. So then this is the same facet grid is reusable. That is the advantage of object-oriented style of programming. That in Fig and AX type of plotting also we have seen that same AX object can be once again used again and again as many times as you want. Okay, for plotting different plots. Similarly, here same grid object can be on same grid. Here you put that violin plot and swarm plot, and here you are creating different grid. But you can even try the same grid; it will work. Okay, the only thing is that previous plot will be overwritten, and then you can write plotting the regression plot for the lunch and for the dinner. Again, tips dataset also is actual dataset from a hotel collected from a hotel, and it was a nice psychological study that whether people tend to tip more if they are smoker, whether people tend to tip more if they come with their fiancé or wife, or whether people tend to tip more for whether males tend to tip more or whether female usually tip more. All that study was done using this tip dataset. Okay, so it was a nice dataset, and I advise that you should do this and more other dataset from SNS library. Here I have given all the libraries which are present in the SNS, all the datasets which are present in SNS. So list of datasets present in SNS library. Okay, and let me make this markdown and that, and these are the various datasets. Okay, so try them and try to plot as many plots as possible, because ultimately say the whatever work you do in the background, model building and all that, does not reach to the end user or your company's boss or CEO or manager, top level management. But what you do for plotting, that does go to the topmost level or to the end customer also in the form of this dashboard, reports and scores. So many times a slightly poorer data scientist but who is expert at plotting nice, expressive, interpretable and attractive plots, he can actually impress the client or the boss more compared to a very intelligent data scientist who is not good at plotting. Here are the exercise questions, and as usual, this time we will take again load tips dataset and plot some other. Okay, that is this 3 questions you have to do. Thank you, and here is the end of this chapter 16.